Winchester Mystery House is a real place in San Jose, California. From the outside, it looks like a grand Victorian mansion. Beautiful, expensive, carefully built, almost normal. But the longer you look at it, the more the building starts to feel wrong. A staircase rises, then stops at the ceiling. A door opens onto a sheer drop to the garden below. Windows look into other rooms instead of outside. Hallways turn into more hallways, and rooms connect in ways that feel more like a puzzle than a home. This is The Location Files. Episode 8, Winchester Mystery House. The house belonged to Sarah Lockwood Pardee Winchester. She was the widow of William Wirt Winchester, whose family name was tied to the Winchester Rifle Company. When her husband died in 1881, Sarah inherited enormous wealth. But she also inherited a life shaped by loss. Her infant daughter had died years earlier. Her husband followed. After that, Sarah left Connecticut and moved to California. In 1884, she purchased a working farmhouse in what is now San Jose. That farmhouse became the beginning of something much larger. Construction began. Then it kept going and going. For 38 years, the house expanded. Rooms were added, halls were changed, staircases were built and sometimes rerouted. Walls shifted, plans changed. No single architect ran the project from start to finish. Sarah herself reportedly directed much of the construction. The result is a building that reflects decisions made over decades, layer by layer, change by change. Certain patterns appear throughout the house. The number 13 shows up repeatedly. 13 windows in some rooms, 13 steps on certain staircases, 13 sections in some ceilings. Whether this reflects personal superstition, design preference, or later coincidence, historians continue to debate. What they do not debate is the architecture itself. It is genuinely unusual. In 1906, the San Francisco earthquake struck. The Stanley had already changed the house once. The earthquake did it again. Portions of the structure were damaged. A partially completed tower collapsed. Some rooms were sealed off instead of repaired. And construction continued around the damage, which is one reason the floor plan feels so impossible today. The confusion was not entirely intentional. Some of it was practical. Some of it was grief. Some of it was simply what happens when one person builds a house for 38 years without stopping. By the time Sarah Winchester died in September of 1922, construction had not paused in decades. The day she died, the workers stopped. The house was left mid-construction in several places. Nails were driven partway into walls. Rooms were unfinished. And a building that had been alive with labor went suddenly quiet. The best-known legend says Sarah Winchester believed she was being haunted by the spirits of people killed by Winchester rifles. According to that story, a medium told her she had to move west and keep building. As long as construction continued, the spirits could not harm her. The moment she stopped, they would come. That version is the one most people remember. It is cinematic, it is tragic, and it turns every dead-end hallway into a clue. But the problem is evidence. No diary confirms this belief. No correspondence clearly proves Sarah held seances in the house. The famous seance room story is disputed by historians, and some researchers argue that the supernatural explanation grew significantly after the mansion opened to the public in 1923. Selling the mystery helps sell the house. That does not mean the story is entirely wrong, but it does mean the file is complicated. Sarah Winchester was not just a character in a ghost story. She was a real person, wealthy, private, and surrounded by rumors because people could not easily explain how she lived. She donated to a hospital in New Haven, Connecticut. She paid her workers well by the standards of the time. She built a functioning estate. And she did all of this alone, without needing anyone's approval. A door to nowhere may be the result of redesign. A staircase may reflect earthquake damage, changing plans, or personal preference. A confusing floor plan may be the outcome of decades of additions made by a woman who changed her mind, changed the design, and then changed it again. But when you combine all of that with death, wealth, and silence, the legend becomes almost impossible to separate from the place. The house opened to the public in 1923, 1 year after Sarah died. From that moment, the building was no longer only a private mansion. It became a public mystery, a place where the architecture invited the legend, and where the legend gave the architecture a permanent shadow. That is the problem with Winchester Mystery House. The facts are already strange enough. A real mansion, a real fortune, a real widow, a real construction project that lasted 38 years. A house full of stairways, doors, and rooms that do not behave the way a house should. Maybe the ghost story is exactly right. Maybe it grew larger in the telling because the house demanded a myth big enough to match it. Maybe the truth is somewhere inside a building where even the walls seem to keep moving. What we know is this: the mansion still stands. The rooms are still there. And more than a century later, people are still trying to decide what kind of house Sarah Winchester actually built. Unexplained does not mean haunted. It means unfinished. And this file is still open.